Do you love your Switch Lite, but wish you could have a better screen like the Switch OLED? Well, fellow YouTuber Taki Udon and his company Retro Remake made an OLED screen mod for the Switch Lite and claims it's even better than Nintendo's. So in today's video, we are going to install the SUPER5 screen mod and see if it's all it's cracked up to be. I was actually very graciously gifted this Switch Lite by one of my YouTube members, Jan, when he sent me a big old care package to my P.O. box. Once again, thank you very much, because now I don't have to do this to my special edition as it was my only Switch Lite, and I can actually compare the two screens much easier in B-roll. And conveniently, one of my friends broke their Switch Lite screen around the time I got this. So I gave them the working screen out of this one and waited very patiently for my SUPER5 OLED to arrive. Once it finally got here, I unscrewed the 8 exterior screws, removed the back, took off the heatsink, and took out the cartridge slot. Since I already removed my screen a while back, all I had to do was make sure there was no leftover double-sided tape on my shell before sticking down the new screen. Honestly, the trickiest part for me was getting this ribbon cable to slide in down here, but it's really not that bad to get either ribbon cable in. Then we can plug all of the ribbons in, including the new ribbon cable that brings this all together. Once you've done that and attached the battery, we can turn it on to test it and to adjust the colors to your liking using these two buttons on the new ribbon cable. I genuinely don't know for sure what the settings are or even which button does what. The saturation changes and one is really dim, and then on another everything is blue. Taki said in his tutorial that the final ribbon would have labels on the buttons, and they do not. And there is also nothing helpful related to this on the website that I could find. But once the colors are to your satisfaction, you can plug the cart slot back in, stick the heatsink back down, and screw everything together. And don't forget to install the new metal backplate. I have a fuller tutorial live on the second channel, Jake64, that you can follow when you go to install it yourself. It's a pretty darn simple mod with no soldering or trimming that ends up looking so clean that you'd think it came like this from the factory. I really do like how this turned out. I want to give praise to Taki for not only including all of the tools you need, minus a blow dryer or a hot air station, but also things that will make your life easier that he didn't have to include. He didn't have to give you a screw organizer, tweezers, or picks, but he did. Heck, he didn't have to include this higher quality screwdriver, but he did. That's awesome. I also had some new thumbsticks included with mine that I didn't order, but it might have been a bonus for pre-ordering or an apology for being so late, because this took a long time to actually ship. I ordered this the second that pre-orders opened up, and it was initially promised to ship in October, but then it was delayed until November. It shipped on November 25th, but didn't actually ship until mid-December when I was set a new tracking number. I don't know what was up with that, and it was really frustrating because the help I received from customer service was abysmal. And the only way I got any real information was when I replied to one of Taki's tweets. It all ended up being fine and not that big of a deal. I was just kind of banking on this being my late November, early December video, and instead I'm scrambling to make this before I leave for Christmas. I just wanted to mention this because of the lack of customer service I received. I genuinely feel like a Karen for even bringing this up at this point, but I'm leaving it in. This whole launch has just felt very messy, and there's still things that are missing that I'd like to see. Like, there's no written tutorial on the website, or even a guide on how to use the buttons on the back, other than sifting through the video tutorial. I would have way rather seen it announced and released later once everything was more finalized, especially when it seems he's adding features to the next wave that early adopters are just screwed out of. But let's finally talk about the screen, huh? It's beautiful. It gets very bright and very dim. It's got an insane contrast ratio. And while I don't know what 150% of sRGB really means, it definitely looks like it has 150% of the colors. And while it is OLED, I don't know if this thing will have burn-in like the AMOLED GBC or Steam Deck, but I'm not really worried about it. If you aren't playing the same game at full brightness 24/7 365, I'm sure it won't be an issue for years to come. But I would like to know if Taki is doing his own burn-in test, and I would definitely love to know if there are any burn-in reduction measures that he's put into place. I guess we should also compare the colors between the three screens. Obviously, it's going to look way better than the original Switch Lite screen, assuming you love saturated colors like I do. And even as beautiful as my OLED Switch is, I like the colors better on the Retro Remake screen. I would love to show you more comparisons of games in this section, but I'm a little nervous too with how trigger happy Nintendo's been lately. So I recommend looking at Taki's videos and the website if you need more convincing. Generally, if you like saturated colors, this screen's better. To me, I think this should be everyone's first thought as a replacement screen if you break your Switch Lite's original screen. It's only slightly cheaper to get a regular replacement screen. If you're obsessed with your Switch Lite and you really want to upgrade no matter what, $55 is a fantastic starting price. You might as well wait and pay the extra money for the touch version, or maybe even the HDMI out kit if this is your only Switch console. But I'm really not missing the touchscreen so far. I just keep accidentally reaching for the screen when I want to adjust the brightness. I will be brutally honest though, I'm probably not going to use this that much because the Switch Lite isn't the most comfortable for me. I got this cheap grip to hopefully help with that, but it's not great. I will patiently wait for the Super 7 OLED for my Animal Crossing Switch, or more realistically, continue to use my Switch OLED. It's just more comfortable and more versatile since I dock my Switch a lot. I know, I have way too many Nintendo Switches. But what do you guys think about the OLED panels from Retro Remake? Are you gonna get one? Did you already get one? Let me know in those comments down below. Personally, I would love to see an OLED GBA screen from them. Really shake up the whole Game Boy modding scene. That'd be great. Honestly, it's getting a little stale. But that's about it for me. So like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. But Taki, if you're watching, what I really want to know is, did you want to call it Retro Remastered and saw that I already took it? Or did you always want to call it Retro Remake?